Hey, so you know that thing where you're running a podcast with a couple of guys, sort of quasi about Elon Musk, and then literally like an hour after you record your podcast, the news comes out that the SEC is suing him and he might actually get removed from Tesla. You know that thing? Yeah, that totally happened on Thursday. Anyway, a lot of people have been asking me my thoughts on this, so I thought I would just do a video. I don't know that my thoughts are any more relevant than anybody else's, but I do kind of follow this probably closer than most people do. What it's all about, just to get anybody caught up who doesn't know, a couple months ago, Elon tweeted that he wanted to take the company private, take Tesla private. And the reason is because Tesla, Tesla in general, I'm not just making it about him, but they have a long-term goal of getting their of transforming the auto infrastructure and making it electric and all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't really work on quarterly reports that well. Some quarters are going to lose money. Some quarters are going to start to make some money. Ironically, all this is happening just before the third quarter results, which are supposed to be fantastic. This is supposed to be like a record-breaking quarter in terms of, like, they're going to double what they made last quarter or something like that. It's anyway, totally different thing. But that's why he wanted to take the company private, so that it wouldn't have to be subject to quarterly earnings, and they wouldn't always have to like keep that bottom line in mind. They could just kind of like do what they wanted to do. So he was in talks with some people, and I guess he thought that he had the money secure. So he put a tweet out saying that he was looking at taking the company private. He was going to do it when the stock got to $420. More on that in a second. And he said funding secures. Now, that's the part that seems to have gotten him in trouble, because it turns out the funding was not secure. He kind of jumped the gun on that. The Saudi Arabian Wealth Fund or something like that was supposed to be the people he was talking to. It was sort of an oral agreement that he had made. He hadn't really talked to his board of directors or anything, but for whatever reason, he decided to put that tweet out, and that's what got him into trouble, because according to the SEC, the reason he got in trouble for that is because it's basically manipulating the stock price. What they're kind of saying is that, it's again, like always with Elon, his actions depend on what your perception of the guy is. If you're an Elon fanboy, if you're somebody that believes in him, then you think that he was basically just trying to be as completely transparent as possible with the investors by getting ahead of everything. There was also, I read somewhere that apparently the New York Times or some paper was about to make put out a report about the conversations he was having with the Saudi fund, and was going to make this thing public. So he kind of wanted to get in front of that, so he tweeted it out to make that known. Of course, if you are an Elon hater, you see that as him trying to manipulate the stock price. He never wanted to take them private in the first place, but by saying, I'm going to sell it at 420, then all these people might get in and start selling. It's basically just manipulating the stock price to try to make some financial gains from it. So it all comes down to intent, really, is what it all comes down to. Stuttering my head off here, but what I know right now from what I've read, apparently they were going to make a settlement. The SEC was offering him a settlement that would have basically just been some fines, and it would have been a no-fault settlement, or it wasn't him saying he was guilty, but they would have had to pay some fines, and I think that was the end of it. I don't think he was going to be removed from the company or anything like that. And apparently at the last second, from what I've read anyway, he dropped out. Like, he decided he didn't want to do the settlement. He felt like he didn't do anything wrong, and he wanted to fight it. So now they're going to fight it. Now, I had heard that, but I had also heard that the SEC changed their mind and decided not to offer the settlement anymore. So again, a couple of the articles I wrote were from CNBC. I have expressed my distrust of CNBC in the past. They are very they have bathed in misinformation when it comes to Tesla, and they've always skewed as far on the short side as possible. But so the SEC is they're going to sue him, and they're going to try to have him removed from the board and removed as CEO. And apparently they would make it so that he couldn't be a CEO or board member or chairman of the board for any publicly traded company. For the record, this does not impact SpaceX because they are private. They are not a public company. So I guess we're looking at a few scenarios here. Worst case scenario is he loses, and this is going to take months, by the way. This isn't something that's going to happen next week. They might still settle. They might decide it's not worth it, forget it, cooler heads may prevail, and they may settle. Tesla may pay some fines, we'll get on with our lives. Worst case scenario, he gets removed from the board of Tesla. My feeling is that could almost be a good thing. As much as I like Elon, as much as I believe in his vision and all that kind of stuff, I'm ready for the drama to end. I'm ready for Tesla to just kind of like do their thing, and it not be this swirling circus all the time. So if you listen to the podcast on Thursday, or that we recorded on Thursday, I brought up a conversation that didn't fully get talked, or didn't get talked through, because the conversation was, who is the bigger cult, the Tesla fanboys or the Tesla haters? And I brought that up because Jalopnik had done this awful article about the fact that some Tesla owners were volunteering to come and help, give orientations to new owners at Tesla delivery centers and stuff like that. And so they took that as this whole I see that and I think, wow, that's amazing. They have such a strong fan base. They have their customers are so brand loyal. They believe in the goal. They believe in the mission so much that they're going to offer to volunteer and come in. They love the car so much that they enjoy talking about them, and they enjoy the opportunity to come and help orient people. That's basically what it came down to for me. I thought, well, that's really cool. But of course, these guys took it and they made it billionaire CEO takes advantage of poor people or something. It was like they put this incredibly horrible spin on it, like they do with everything at Jalopnik when it comes to Tesla. But just because I'm a super masochist, I looked into the comments and there were all these people saying that Tesla fans were cult members. They were saying Tesla's a cult. But I was like, but aren't the Tesla haters just as much of a cult? I mean, how can you take something so positive as people willing to volunteer their time just to help out this company because they believe in it so much and make it something negative? To me, that's just as biased and it's just as culty on the other side. So I brought this up for conversation in the podcast, and we did talk a lot about the Tesla haters. We didn't. The conversation kind of moved on after that point, so I didn't really get to have the full conversation that I wanted to have, which was also talking about the Tesla fanboys, because there are Tesla fanboys that, I think they kind of fall into into cult status. There are people that look at everything Elon does, no matter how big the mistake might have been, and say, oh, he's just playing 12-dimensional chess. He's just thinking 4 steps ahead of everybody else. No. Look, Elon is a brilliant guy, and he's got a wonderful vision for the world, and he's done some amazing things, but he's not perfect. He is flawed, like most world changers are. And people who are billionaires, after a while, they kind of are in their own little world. They don't live in the same world that we do. There's a huge amount of ego that comes with being a billionaire, and there's a huge amount of just, I can have whatever I want, because they can have whatever they want for most of the time. So I think Elon is a very flawed guy, and sending out that tweet was incredibly stupid. He kind of tends to have this, and I'm just speculating here, but he kind of tends to have this sort of the world revolves around me attitude, and when he puts out a tweet like that and he hadn't consulted with the board and he hadn't cleared everything, he winds up getting in trouble, and that's what happens. I don't want to see him removed from Tesla, I don't see where Tesla would completely kick him out the door. I don't see where he completely gets the boot. He might not be chairman anymore of the board. He might not be CEO anymore, but he would still be chief visionary or something like that. He would still be the guy who is the face of the company. There is no way that Tesla would allow Elon Musk to be completely not part of Tesla anymore. He would still be the guy giving the presentations. This is my opinion. Obviously, you guys may have a different opinion, but I really think the worst case scenario that he gets removed from the board and gets taken down as CEO could possibly be a good thing for Tesla, because again, the circus might die down a little bit. They might get down to the business of actually making cars and delivering them and all that. I have always said that he needs a Gwen Shotwell. He needs some kind of COO there that can kind of handle that stuff. He Tesla's his baby and he doesn't want to let go of it, but at some point he's going to have to let go of it. He's not going to live forever. At some point somebody else is going to be in charge of Tesla. That's just a fact. And the sooner he starts to groom the people who are going to take over for him someday, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But I think, again, he would still be the chief visionary. They would have somebody managing the company, hopefully a little bit better than what he's doing, and he would still be kind of guiding the direction of the company. That's how I see this going down. Should it go down that way? It's also possible that the reason he decided to fight it instead of settle is he's completely right that he didn't really do anything wrong, and that they can win their case. They might win their case, and everything's fine. It's not a good thing that he's actually being sued by the SEC. So I'm not going to try to put a positive spin on this. I mean, I might be a little bit if I'm saying that, there might be some positive outcomes from it. But I guess I'm not freaking out too much is what it comes down to. I don't think that Tesla's going to boot him out and then the whole corporate culture of Tesla is going to change. I don't think that Tesla is going to just completely get rid of Elon. They just can't. He's just too much of the face of the brand. And keep in mind, Tesla started without him. He came in later on, and he kind of made it what it is. That's unarguable. But at some point, Tesla's going to have to be without him. So we might as well kind of get that process started. But I just don't see any scenario where they completely kick him out, and he's not the face of the company anymore. But anyway, that's what's gone down, and that's what we know so far. All this can change tomorrow, so this might not be relevant by the time I even get this up and you guys are seeing it. But those are my thoughts right now. I'm in this weird place in my life now where people want to hear my thoughts on these kinds of things, so I thought I would share it. Feel free to share what you think down below. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you agree. But no, I don't think it's time to freak out just yet. It's not a good situation, but I don't think it's time to freak out. I'm more interested in what the third quarter earnings are going to be, because apparently they just blew it out of the park this quarter. They actually beat their goal for once, with a few days to spare, according to the last thing that I read. So yeah, I mean, like always with Tesla, it's good news, bad news. It's always it's never, yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I'll leave you with that. I hope you guys are doing well. Catch you later.